Good morning, Pulsakins. How are we doing today out there in crypto land, mainly Pulse Chain ecosystem land, with more blood in the street, guys? Like I said all the time, this is your time to still be dollar cost average again, building that bag and getting ready for the next bull. But in the meantime, let's make sure we continue bringing good guests on the show. I hope you guys liked yesterday. Yesterday, if you didn't watch it, we talked about how you cannot pay taxes in 2025. You can defer it later, push it down the road, guys. Come on. You don't got to pay that. Go into other assets and keep your money. But today, we're going to talk about bringing some real utility to Pulse Chain. I mean, I'm sure some of you guys are aware of node validating and how that operates and how that works. I'm sure some of you guys are doing it. I'm sure a lot of you guys are not doing it because of the inconvenience that it gives you. You got to run a server, you got to host it, you got to go stake the coins and then update the clients. It's a lot of work. It's a big headache, and what if we can make it easy for you guys? Liquid staking derivatives is a absolute massive narrative on other blockchains right now. And so what if we could bring that narrative back home? Well, that's what we're going to do today, guys. We're going to talk to my good friend Jexxa. I'm going to bring it up. And actually, guys, wow, we got another special guest in the green room. We got Mr. Dane, too. This is going to be a fun show today. What's going on,
Hey,
Jexxa?
How you going, guys?
What you give the audience a little about who you are, where you come from, why crypto, all that spiel, and then let's go into what you got going on here, man. It's gonna be fun today.
Yeah, sure, mate. I won't make it too long and boring and give my whole life story, but yeah, been in crypto since about 2016. Went deep down the rabbit hole early on, and I had a lot of time on my hands, so I dove really deep and spent a lot of time on it. And I come from a technical background anyway, so my career was in IT security. So I've had a lot of technical knowledge and a lot of financial knowledge from running businesses and stuff. And those worlds sort of mashed together in crypto. And I went, yeah, this is my place. This is where I want to be. So yeah, that's sort of how long I've been around in terms of Pulse and Hex and all that. Been around since the very beginning. So
very beginning of Hex or very beginning?
Yeah. Very beginning of Hex. Yeah, okay. So I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly a couple of times over now. So yeah, it's all good.
There's a lot of ugly, Jexxa. There's been a lot of
ugly this year.
Cool, man. Well, talk about a little bit about what you're building, man. I mean, I'm super pumped and excited. I'll let you kind of go into it, and then I'll talk about why I'm so pumped and excited about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mentioned that I do a lot of the tech stuff, and I've been running validators since day one on Pulse Chain, done it on the test net, over onto the main net. So yeah, I've just that's the kind of thing I like doing. But like I said, that's not for everyone.
It's not, man. I mean, I ran a node validator on testnet V4. Do we have 4 test nets? I think it was 4 test nets. It's a blur now with what's all going on. But yeah, I run a node validator on testnet V4. It was great. I had to update the clients a few times. There was some troubleshooting. You got to learn Linux to really, really grasp it. I had some private hand holding with Gamma, and Gamma was great. He got me to understand, but it's work, man. And you got to learn that. It's a skill set. And if you're not a techie guy, it can be difficult for some people.
Yeah, I've had friends hit me up and say, "Oh yeah, I want to run a validator." I'm like, I really don't think you do. If you once you know what's involved, I really don't think you're better off just going to your job and doing what you do, and let other people do that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Even if you are a techie guy, we've had people that were really excited about the idea of it, and they get into the weeds and they're like, "Oh, this is a lot." Yeah, it could be. A lot.
Exactly. Yeah. And then they'll hit me up, Jexxa. They're like, "Corey, can you imagine putting my node validators of yours?" I'm like, dude, I mean, yeah, but now you're making my life that much more harder. And like, they want maybe, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I mean, everyone's got their different bag sizes, right? And that's neither here nor there. But they're like, I want to put 1 or 2
Yeah.
I get it. They want that passive income. They want the little bit of yield that it creates. But man, it's just it's difficult, you know.
So I've been down that exact path. As it is at the moment, I'm running validators for friends, but they're good friends and they're a decent amount of validators. So I'm happy to help those guys out.
Right, you got a bunch of them that you're doing it for. I'm sure that's like it makes it worth your while. Like, okay, I'm not gonna do one off.
But the thing was, in setting all of that up, so to run that for friends, I had to do so much extra work because you want to get the security right and you want to make sure that they're looked up. Like, there's just so much to it.
Especially when you're on the hook for their money. Yeah, like
exactly.
You don't freaking lose it.
Yeah, that's right. And yes, I've got all smart contracts that split out all the fees and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, okay, that was a lot of effort to go through for those guys. Happy to do it. But then I started looking around for better options, and obviously the liquid staking thing, that gets it to the point where someone, like you just mentioned there, someone that could only run one validator and it's not really feasible to do that themselves, now they can actually participate in the real yield that the network produces. So that's really where this has all sort of come from, why my journey sort of went down this path of setting up the liquid staking side of things.
It's amazing. It's amazing. In liquid staking, I'm hearing an echo. I'm not sure where it's from. But the liquid staking derivative, the LSD, is actually a pretty strong narrative this cycle. I'm seeing it everywhere on other blockchains. Sami's even talked about it in his videos. You know, the narratives for this cycle, right? Real world assets, liquid staking derivatives. Obviously, meme coins are the number one, narrative this cycle so far. Up to this point, I would like to see a shift on that. I don't know if I'm going to get what I want. Doesn't matter what I want. Market doesn't care. But yeah, I love node validating. So I'll tell you a little about me. I'm node validating right now. I did it, like I said, on testnet before when I was in Arizona, and it was great. I understood it. I had it running, but then I moved to Puerto Rico, and as most people know, our internet sucks here, our power sucks here. And so I'm using David Feeder. I'm using his server, which has been great, hosting it over on his server. There's a cost associated to that, guy. So it's like it was not free by any stretch of the measure. So you have to have enough validators to make it worth your while to go and host on his server. And so that was, that's going to, I would say, still X out probably 80-90% of the marketplace of people holding Pulse. Plus, you're not very liquid in that regard. You got to request through him to get your Pulse back, and then there's like a 48-hour roughly give or take before you receive said Pulse, right? And if you're in a bull market or even kind of gearing up, that time wait could be longer. I've heard people in Ethereum waiting over a month. That's what it's like a door. It's like a door in a room, and if everyone's rushing for the door, you get stuck. So
that works both ways. So to get a validator up and running on Ethereum, you've got to go into the queue and you've got to wait and wait. So it can take a long time to get your validator up. And on the back end as well, you're in that same queue to exit out as well. So if they've got, I think there's huge. There's like 500,000 validators or something on
over on ETH. Yeah,
it's huge. So that's what it's huge.
But if you hold a big bag of ETH, and if you're just sitting there with it, I mean, that's what I would do with it. I would be like, here you go. Let's get some yield while we're waiting for the bull run. If Vitalik could stop selling on our heads, jeez, bro. Come on.
Man, he's brutal, isn't he?
Dude, like, come on. Why you keep selling on our heads, man? Let this shit pump. But that's another show.
I'm hoping that's not the market top signal, because he usually does it right at the top of the market.
I think it's a local top signal for sure, man. I mean, it's we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't think it's a full market cycle top.
I think we're good.
But yeah, man, cool. So I mean, talk more about like what is it a fork of, if it is a fork, and give us the in and outs, man, on all the. I want to hear the.
How about I take a different approach, and I'm happy to go through all of that. But let's take back a step, because I don't know what sort of level everyone watching is at, whether they understand some of the things that go on in the background with the validators. Now, I won't make it too technical. I'll just do a really high level overview of what liquid staking is, and then we can dig into it a little bit more. So I'll try and share a screen, because I've got a couple of little. I'm a very visual sort of learner, so I'll see if I can share some.
If you pull it up, I'll be able to host it up onto the stage.
All right. Let's go with that. All right, see if you can bring that one up.
There we go.
Yep. So Vouch is what the protocol is called. It's currently running on testnet. So hopefully soon to be on mainnet once we do a few more tests on the mechanics in the back end. But very much live on testnet, and everyone can play with it. And I'll show you that in a moment. But let's actually have a quick chat about what it actually is. So I'll just grab a quick drink of water before I start.
Yep. Oh, this is gonna be great. You can really get a good understanding of what node validating is.
Yeah, so this is pretty much what it looks like now. This is how it functions. So this is without any liquid staking. You've got someone sitting over here who is a user, and they send transactions which go to a validator to be processed, and the validator is essentially validating the transactions on the blockchain. So that's what, when you open your MetaMask and you interact with Hex and all that, that's essentially what you're doing, or Pulse, or whatever you're doing. You're sending transactions to the blockchain. But sitting behind that, you've got this validator node sitting here that needs to be operated. So you've got someone with some technical skills, like you said, they're probably pretty hot on using Linux, just good general computer skills. And then they've got to learn how the Pulse chain / ETH clients work as well. So there's a fair bit of knowledge that someone's got just to actually run one of these things. So they've got to bring hardware, the knowledge, and also 32 million Pulse as a stake. Yeah. But for doing that, they get the yield that the actual blockchain generates. So literally every 5 minutes, they're getting a feed of yield come into their validator as it gets rewards. Now, I think that, having looked recently on Pulse Chain, usually sits around sort of 11, 12 sort of percent. Yeah.
That's what last I checked. That was at 12%, roughly, give or take, on the last time.
And yeah, so there's two things that you get as a validator. You get the rewards that come in, and then you also get, like, if you produce a block, so you bundle up a block and produce it, then you get the priority fees for that. And sometimes that can be crap. Sometimes that can be very lucrative. So it just depends what's going on the chain. As the chain gets busier, those priority fees will increase. That's when you see the ETH fees blasting up really high. That's what's happening. There's a lot of transaction volumes going on, and the blocks are getting full. So validators will get paid a little bit more for doing that as well. So let's have a look how the liquid staking derivatives work. So you still got the same user sitting out here, and we've still got our same node operators down here, still bringing their resources, their skills, and the hardware resources, but they're only depositing 12 million into the Vouch contracts. And what we're doing is we're waiting for Pulse from other users to come and stake on the Vouch contract, so they can start by putting in as little as 1 Pulse if you really want. So this
really, there's no minimum for the.
We can change the minimum. Like, we can set a minimum, and look, maybe 1 Pulse is a little bit ridiculous. Right? So I might change that just because I think it's not going to be worth even the transaction costs eventually to be doing 1 Pulse. So we might crank it up a little bit to make it a little bit more reasonable. But yeah, at the moment, you can do 1 Pulse if you really wanted to. But what happens is we build up a pool of Pulse here, and when this gets to 20 million, then we can bundle up the 20 million in the pool and the 12 million from the validator and send that as a stake and fire up a validator that is part of the Vouch protocol. So then everyone's sharing in the rewards that the network's paying out. So the rewards come in back into the contract, and then it gets distributed to the various parties, so to the node operator and to the staker.
Is it an even distribution, or is it like the node operator making a tad bit more for his service?
Spot on, yeah. So the node operator gets 5% of the rewards. So of all the rewards and everything generated, he'll take a slice of 5%. So that's not of the principal; it's just of the rewards.
Of the rewards.
5%, yep. And that's their reward for doing all the hard work and providing the infrastructure and so forth. and then the rest is divided up equally between whatever your share of the pool is. Yep. So these guys, so the validators, he'd be making his normal return on his 12 million, and this guy would be making his 10-12% on his one pulse, because that's all he's got in the pool. Yep. So it's all pretty equally distributed. There is a platform fee as well, and that goes to run all the platform, and there's other cool things that can be done with that down the track as well. And we can have a look about
no
that
expectations.
later on. No expectations, yeah. You know the drill.
Yeah. And I see on the slide the users receiving 1 V pulse in return for his 1 pulse, which is
that's a very important part of this.
Yes, that's what gives it the magic, right?
That is the magic. So thanks for pulling me up on that. So at the moment, so let's go back. Here, when a validator chucks in his 32 million pulse, it's locked. So you've lost that liquidity. You've put it into the validator, and you're earning the rewards, but you can't access that liquidity unless you exit the validator.
Yep.
So we'll cover how that works for validators in a minute, but just from a user's perspective, so if a user deposits, say, 1 pulse, they will mint 1 V pulse. Okay, so that's the liquid staking component. You've staked your 1 pulse, but you've still got the liquidity of that value.
I love it.
So when the system first launches, this will start off at this ratio, and I'll go through this in a minute. So it'll start off at 1 to 1. Okay, but that changes over time. Yep. So what that means is V pulse should always be worth the same as or more than pulse. Should never go backwards.
Because the yield in the pool should always be accumulating and forever moving up.
Yep, exactly. All right, so let's have a look how that works then. So when we look at a ratio, so we start off where this user's put in 1 pulse, and he's got his 1 V pulse out, and he puts that in his wallet. So he's got his 1 V pulse sitting in his wallet. That's the liquid component. Now, you can go use that however you would a normal token. You could go put that in a liquidity pool and earn some yield. So you could actually get yield on your yield. So you're earning the yield from being in this staking, but you've got the liquidity to go do other things with it. Do safe things with it because you don't want to lose it, but you've got the ability to do that. One thing that might be very interesting, imagine if we had a liquidity pool where we had pulse and V pulse in the pool together.
That's what interests me the most.
That's pretty cool. So you can go support, so you can go support all the other protocols that are getting built on the network, and you won't have, like, if you pair up pulse with a stable, you've got maximum impermanent loss. Yeah. If you pair up, say, something like Hex and Pulse X, or Ink and Pulse X, then they might tend to move together, but they'll still have impermanent loss. With this one, these should be locked pretty firm, like they are intrinsically linked
because it's always redeemable.
Yep. And the ratio. So we'll talk about the ratio. The ratio moves up it's not like a exponential rate. It just creeps up and creeps up over time. So it's not like they're going to get too far out of whack too quickly. They'll do that gradually over time. So imagine we start off with our 1-to-1 ratio, and we team up and we stake our pulse, and we're getting the rewards come back into the contract. The validator's getting his rewards paid out in pulse. So he's staked, remember, he's got 12 million that he's staked. So he's still getting his rewards. He's getting a little clip for running the node, but then the rest is going back into the pool, and it just sits in the pool until someone wants to come back and redeem their V pulse. So whilst that's sitting in the pool, this ratio is ever increasing. So this user still holds his 1 V pulse, but when he comes back to redeem it, to unstake it essentially, he will get more pulse than what he originally put in. Because it's pulling in there. So you're effectively getting you're getting your interest, but you're not actually getting it sent out to your wallet every day. It's just sitting in the contract, and you're getting the increase in the value of the VPulse token. So it will creep up over time.
Unless you want to go redeem it, and then you can grab your interest.
Exactly. Yeah. If you wanted to get back out to Pulse, you just go chuck it in, you unstake it, and you get your Pulse back out.
Which should give it a fair market value. Now, this is crypto, and we know things like to get oversold or overbought at times, and we could see some. You don't.
This won't do that.
This won't do that.
No, because imagine you've got a liquidity pool sitting there with Pulse and VPulse. That's just an instant arb. Like there's
right. That's what I was saying. It could offer arb opportunity to the marketplace.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it would be an instant arb.
Yeah, it's an arb opportunity, but it's not. VPulse is not a speculative token, so it's not going to overshoot.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense to me. Yeah.
Yep. So it's not. Yeah, it's definitely not a speculative thing where you're buying it hoping it will outperform Pulse. It's going to be linked, but just increasing by that ratio amount.
Okay. Yeah.
What have you guys done as far as, because if all that interest, right, and bonuses are sitting there in that pool, what have you guys done from a security perspective to protect that, so that you don't have somebody hack it, you don't have some problem with the code? Have you guys had audits and all that type of stuff? What does that look like?
Good questions. So smart contract risk is always going to be present and looming in the background. So you can never ever say never. All you can do is look at things that have been running for a while, look at audits they've had. So that's probably a good chance to sort of segue as to who has actually developed the protocol. So what we've seen on Pulse Chain happen a lot is we've got a lot of forks come across, lending platforms. There's another team doing a liquid staking protocol as well, which is another type of fork. And we've seen a number of the what else we got? The Vouch protocol. I'm just trying to think of all the other ones, but there's a heap of forks that have come across, and they're not necessarily friendly forks where the team that originally built the code has put their hand up and said, yeah, guys, we'll come across and build on Pulse Chain and help you guys out. Everyone's had to take the code, work it on themselves, and there's been a distance between the originating team and Pulse Chain, good, bad, or otherwise. Now, there is examples where teams have helped out, and the Fetch protocol, the Fetch Oracle, is one where the Teller team has been very friendly. So that it has happened, but it's in a lot of cases it's people just having to build fork the code and build it themselves. This one's a little bit different, where I've worked really hard with the Staffy team, or Starfy. So that's
on Ethereum. Is that where they're? Yeah.
So they run this on Ethereum. They've got something similar on Solana. A few of the other EVM compatible ones, like I think there's Matic. There's a couple of others. I think there's about 5 or 6 that they've they're on the Cosmos protocol. They got that as well. So they've got this protocol running on various chains. Been running on ETH for a very long time, so it's battle tested. So that's a good thing. It's using the same. That's one of the really good lucky things we are in Pulse Chain, is there's so much tooling that's been created for the ETH network that we can bring across relatively easy. Like, you've got obviously a few tweaks and things you've got to do and change a few things, but for the most part, we're pretty lucky that because we've done that fork and we've kept all the upgrades as Ethereum upgrades, we bring them to Pulse. It means that we can do a lot of cool things. But yeah, the team is really friendly. I've been working with them for a number of months now, and they've been super helpful. Pretty much every day I'm speaking to their tech team, and we're testing things and doing things in the background. So on that note, a big shout out to, so I want to give a quick shout out to the guys at Staffy as well. So Shirley and Tor, they've been absolutely awesome helping in the background. Tor's on the technical side, and Shirley just with negotiating how we're bringing all this across and working with their community as well. So we've put proposals up within their community.
Oh, that's great.
On them. Yeah. And you may have seen it. Yeah, you may have seen a tweet from there. their account come out a week or two ago. That had something like 60,000 followers on their account. So it's just good from an adoption point of view and branching out with other communities in a friendly way. So there's a lot of really good stuff to come out of that as well. But in answer to your question, we get to leverage off the audits that they've had done there and the fact that we've seen this live and operating for over a couple of years. So that's a good thing. So it's meant we could move pretty quick to get it on testnet, and hopefully we can move just as quick to get it on to mainnet as well. Yeah. So the main thing we've got to do a lot of is the UI development stuff. So the core contracts are like for like, but obviously a lot of different things on Pulse Chain, different the way we've got to collect data and the way we present things, because we've changed the values of ETH to be 1 million-fold and things like that. So there's a lot of tricky things we've got to deal with to get all that right. But yeah, and that's where we're spending most of our time, is making the UIs how we want them for Pulse. So yeah, that's the liquid staking in a nutshell. Happy to dive in and show you guys a little bit more about the UIs and things like that, unless you've got any other.
Yeah, I would love to see the UI. What fascinates me is, like, getting on like if you can get these liquid staking derivatives and maybe even get like multiple liquid staking derivatives along with Pulse on something like Fux connected with 2 Fux, and then you get all these different yields. And I mean,
exactly.
it just, without all the volatility. I mean, you still have the volatility of Pulse, right? We all know that. But like, if you're going to hold Pulse anyways, like, for me, it's a no-brainer.
Actually, you mentioned something when we were in the green room. You said that you're obviously doing the validating side of things, and this was a bit of an interest to you. I'll show you something else that might be even more of an interest.
And I'll dive a little bit more deeper why it is, because, guys, as we're going through this market cycle, we're anticipating maybe we see another altcoin season coming up at the end of the year, beginning of next. Does it happen? I don't know. We're not financial advisors on this show. We're just speculating on our own money. But like, if you're going into an altcoin season, or you think you're going to go into a pump, if you're expecting it, you'd want to be liquid. You wouldn't want to be locked up, because if that door is hard to get through now, and it's 48 hours, how we talked about earlier, of getting in and out of your validators, well, what do you think it's going to be when we're pumping and we're, in an altcoin season? That door is going to be even harder to get through. And so I want to be pretty liquid in that regard going into said altcoin season. And then I still don't want to, I still love passive income. I still love putting my money to work for me. I still love utility. I love utility on the blockchain, even though it's not like the biggest thing right now. But like, I would love to put my Pulse to work for me. I'm going to just keep it liquid on. And this is a great way to do that. Stay liquid. And then now share what you were going to talk about.
Yeah. So you can have the best of both worlds if you're a validator as well. So I'll talk about a couple of ways I'm thinking from my perspective as a validator, how I could use this as well, because you can play both sides of the system. Now, a little caveat, there is, whilst the token is liquid, we still have to abide by the rules of the network, where there's exit queues and things like that. And I'll cover that when we have a look at the front end.
That was one of my questions. How you plan on, like, what if everyone's trying to exit all at once?
Exactly.
Like, oh man, the pool's empty. What do we do?
Exactly. But it's good. Like, it means that it's the chance for everyone that's sitting there just holding Pulse at the moment to actually benefit from the yield that the network generates. Means that we get a lot more Pulse locked up as well. So it's not just sitting around ready to be dumped as well. People are earning a bit of yield out of it, and then go, okay, well, I'm happy to hold it a little bit more. I think it's all round. You want a healthy ecosystem where you've got a good balance of people staking and liquid as well. So we'll find that balance over time. But if you're an existing validator, we mentioned that if you do this solo, you've got to chuck in your 32 mil and it's locked. But what if you were to come and play both ends of the system, where you could chuck in your 12 mil, but then bring in 20 mil this way, get 20 mil in VPulse. So you're effectively still locking up your 32 mil and getting the full yield, but you've got 2/3 of it as liquid.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And the fee would offset back to my valid. Interesting.
Yep. So don't chuck out all your validators. I'm saying that there's a better way you can play the system.
Yeah, and I'd be 2/3 liquid.
Yeah.
Is that what is that right? About 2/3?
Roughly, yeah, give or take. Yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah.
How does one become a 12 million validator?
Mm-hmm. So you use the same hardware, you're running the same core software that you need to run a validator, but we run one extra little agent called an ejector, which sits on the node. So a little bit of software, very small footprint, and that effectively controls the exit queue and things like that. So if you need validators to exit, you can send a notice so that the validator knows it's got to exit and things like that. Automatically exits the validator for you. So you just got to run an extra little bit of software. When you and we just obviously when you do your deposits, you've got to send them through the contract so that it knows what's going on and things like, rather than sending direct to the native staking contract on the platform.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, pretty much it's there's a nice interface for handling all of that.
Are you going to be working with David Feeder too? Because my problem is I'm not hosting all my my validators on my server. They're on his server because like once again, Puerto Rico sucks for internet and power.
Yeah. Look, I want to get everyone involved in the community. So you've got what we call solo validators. So people like yourself that are out there running their own hardware, or maybe they've got something with David as well. We need those guys on board. That's really good to have them there, because you bring those guys that have got the tech knowledge, and that means everyone else that's got Liquid Pulse can come and actually use the system and benefit from them. So we want to bring those guys along. This is very much a community-driven effort, and I want to really engage with everyone that's already out there doing things in the ecosystem. There's a whole bunch of guys that people probably don't even realize how much work they're doing in the background for all the infrastructure side of things.
Yeah, like Alex from Hedron, he's been building like crazy.
Alex, Gamma, Feeder, Dip Slayer. I can go on. There's a whole bunch of people that are really important, and they're providing very important services. This is a tool that sort of get all those guys to meet in the middle, and I think it's a good win for the chain. So,
me too. Now talk about if we're in the top of a bull and everyone's trying to exit.
Okay, so how about we'll have a look at the UI. We'll have a look at, because there's two UIs. There's a user front end, and then there's a validator front end. So
let me remove this one down for you.
Yeah, just give me a sec. I'll stop my share. And
if you guys have any questions for Jexxa, feel free to post them in the chat. This is what we're here to do, is to learn about this protocol. This is, I think, going to be extremely valuable. If you guys are holding Liquid Pulse on Pulse Chain, which a lot of you guys are, you can go and put it to work for you and have best of both worlds. Stay liquid, go into liquidity pools. Maybe you want to cheat your bags because you got fudded out on Twitter because somebody was MFing you. Now you can cheat your bag without having to worry about exiting your validator.
Let's go with
post your questions, guys. Meantime, I'll say hi to the chat. What up, Red Squirrel? Oi, my man. Sal, what's up? How you doing? Matty B, what's going on? Make that Pulse X bag heavy, man. I made my Pulse X bag pretty heavy. Now, I might make it a little bit heavier this month if we keep getting wrecked timber. I'll tell you that. Wrecked timber, I'm like, man, I need to figure out how I'm going to go do it at a DCA.
We're hanging out for October, aren't we?
Yeah, hanging out for October. That's right. Mitch, what's up, man? What's going on? Mitch, this will be good for you, man. I know you were inquiring about node validating before. This could be a good tool for you. What's up, over another great show? I'm glad to make it. Yeah, man. Glad you're here, bro. Frank, what's up, man? That's actually how I know Jexxa on a more personal level, man. We appreciate you, Frank, and everything you do for the community. Patrick from Paris, what's up? How we doing? All right. Not tried LSD yet. Well, which LSD we talking about? You got to be careful. There's good LSD out there, and there's, I mean, I guess one could argue the other LSD is good for you too, but that's another show. All right, Jexxa. So let's see the UI here. What we got here? I'm going to add it to the stage.
So let's bring that up. Okay, so this is the user front end, and it's pretty simple. So you can see we've got a stake. Staking's, it's a little bit of a funny term. Like, yeah, you stake your pulse, but I think you're sort of minting something. Really, it should be the term. But yeah.
And I explain to people, staking is a very umbrella term. There is so many ways of like what they put under stake, so many ways of like engaging with the blockchain or utility or whatever there is no one fit all for staking. Like people are like, well, you have to stake it. And then a lot of times they're thinking like, oh, they have a time lock. Like, you know, like liquidity providing is staking. It's like, not really, but like, you know, we have this all the time in our community. So yeah.
So, but I'll stick with that naming convention, because then it flows through to the rest of the ecos that are all doing and the rest of the chain. So we'll stick with liquid staking derivatives, but here we go. Right. So like I said, you can come in and put one pulse, probably not worth your time and effort. But what you can see down here is if you put in one pulse, you're not going to get one V pulse out. Now, when the system first started, yes, you would have, because the ratio would have started at 1-to-1. So what you can see is when I hover over here, you can see this exchange rate just has gone up. So it's no longer 1, it's 1.02.
Yeah.
You can see that okay? A bit faint there, but that's over time, that's creeping up. And you can see up here, we've got a yield of about 10.5%, give or take. Is that 10? Yeah, just
10.06.
Yep. So you've got about a 10% yield that you're earning just by holding your V pulse. Now it's, like I said, if you mint one pulse and you get 0.97 V pulse, that yield, you're not going to see it hit your wallet. You're just going to, when you come back to redeem, so when you come back to unstake your 0.97 or whatever it was V pulse, you will get more than the original amount of pulse.
Right.
Yeah.
And the longer you hold it, the more you're going to receive back over time.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a time thing as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Critical.
So if you want a bit of this, oops. So let's just stake that.
Okay.
Always dangerous doing tech examples on stream, but we'll see how we go.
We'll see how, right. It says you're going to receive 9.78 thousand for your 10,000 V pulse.
Yep. So you can see instantly it said that that's how much. Yep. I've got that now. So if I go across to unstake, you can see that that's my balance in my wallet. So I've got my V pulses just hit my wallet. So that's how hard it is to get it.
That's
pretty
great.
Simple. Yeah.
The usability of this, man, you guys did a great job on this UI. Like this, like I feel like even somebody with a, very elementary level in crypto, maybe they just got started, like as long as they know how to use a computer, that we have some guys who are even in our community, it's, but this is very user friendly.
Yeah, and I can't take all the credit. The staff, you guys have done a lot of the framework for this, so we're just building it into shape for what we need. So yeah, but they've done a pretty good job. There's a lot of features in here that
it's great.
So if we need to unstake, we can unstake. Now we'll have a chat about pools and things like that because that's really important. So let's jump across and see. So from a user perspective, very easy. You just come and stake it. What's really cool is anyone else in the ecosystem that's a builder, maybe it's Internet Money or something like that, they can actually put this function into their wallet. So they can just call the function on their contract.
That's smart.
Yes, yeah, you don't even have to come here to use this. Internet Money could just call this contract stake function and mint you some V pulse.
That's great.
Yeah.
And you're earning yield almost instantaneously. If you know how to use a soft wallet, you can get yourself some yield generated for you in the background.
haven't even really left your wallet, but you can start.
Dude, talk about user friendly now.
Yeah. All right. So let's have a look what's going on in the background. Is we've got another app. So this is the app that the validators will come and use. So you can see this validator. He's only got 2. We've withdrawn 1. So this is just me testing things and messing around. But the important thing here is the pool. So at the moment, there's about 20 million pulse that is sitting in the pool waiting to get matched with a validator. So if a validator came along and brought 12 million pulse, then that would get matched and that could then get staked.
Got it.
Yep. So it's sitting there. That's effectively lazy money at the moment because it's not actually getting put to work.
Right.
Yep. So you want to keep that efficiency up there. You want to make sure that this pool is not too.
You guys are needing you guys are going to want and need a lot of these 12 million validators.
I'll go through something like there is a mechanism to pick up some of the slack with that.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's so we've got 20 million sitting in the pool. Another solo validator comes along. So I'll use the term solo, and that will make sense in a moment. So solo validator comes along, chucks in his 12 mil, and then that'll get staked and starts earning yield. Now it works the other way as well. So if I've got 30 million V pulse sitting in my wallet and I want to unstake it, I can only instantly get the 20 million.
Here it is.
Yeah. So then, because that's what's liquid sitting there. So that can come out straight away. But then the other 10 million will need to tell one of the validators, okay, you need to exit.
And does that happen instantaneously, basically, that from that software that you were talking about just a few minutes ago?
So not instantaneously, but it's automatic. So it triggers it.
Okay. That's what that's more important.
Yeah. So there's
you don't need a human to come in there a week later and be like, I have to exit these validators.
No. Yeah. So it will automatically exit the validator. Now what that will mean though, from a user's perspective, is so they can if I went here and went unstake, I would instantly get that back because we know there's that much sitting in the pool. Right. But if there was more required, you do the unstake and then a little withdraw button pops up here. And as soon as it's able to be withdrawn, then you just come back and you hit the withdraw button and you can.
And we see pulse.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a little note up here, can take 1 to 5 days. Now on Pulse Chain, it's usually running, I think it's usually within about 24 hours you can get.
It's not
validator out. Yeah.
Especially right now. Now, next year, who knows?
Yeah, that's right. If more validators come online, obviously that queue gets a little bit longer. But yeah, so that's just the thing you need to be aware of, is how deep that pool is and whether you can.
But you can go and check it and see how deep the pool is.
Yeah, anyone can come to this
and look, and then might alter your decision. You're like, I was going to unstake 30 million. Maybe I'll just take out 20 million now and leave 10 million working for me, and then I'll come back a couple weeks maybe, and then I'll pull out the last 10.
Yeah, so it's like it is all automatic, but it's not instant if there's not.
And I anticipate after this thing getting a lot of adoption and usage and people understanding how easy it is. And after you get a lot of these 12 million validators, I imagine the pool there, you're going to have enough in there probably to satisfy the market most days.
Yeah, so exactly. So you'll have transactional volume. So that thing where you said, is it instant? We don't actually want it to be instant.
Okay.
Because you might have someone come in and go, I want to stake and I want to withdraw, and then another person comes in, I want to withdraw, and another one wants to stake. So you've got this flow of funds going in and out. And if someone wants to withdraw and then another staker comes in, well, then they can instantly withdraw. So if you've got a bit of depth in there and it's flowing in and out, then that may keep everyone happy and they can get their funds out straight away. It just depends how fast that's moving.
That makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Have you noticed on the, what's it called? What you're forking? Yeah. Have you gone over there and seen how deep the pool is, and are people able now? It's it's a theory.
I've got to be honest. I haven't sort of been. They've got a whole June analytics board where you can see it all, but I haven't spent a great deal of time looking at their stuff. I've been sort of more busy doing what we're doing. I think Pulse Chain works a little bit different. Like you can put the same protocol on Pulse Chain and it will behave completely different to one on ETH or on another network, because you've got different players in the market and stuff like that. So yeah,
I agree. I mean, you see that with liquidity and liquid loans. I mean, we see it's completely different.
Everyone uses the system differently. So just to touch on the solo validator thing. So there's two types of validators in the system. There's solo validators.
Okay. And those are 12 million. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. And look, that's where I'd want to see most people come in and support the protocol, is come in as solo validators, because it gives you've still got really good decentralization, still got the same people running their validators on the network, but are able to access liquidity. That's the ideal scenario. But if we've got pooled pulse sitting there that needs to be put to work, then we've got something called a trusted validator. So that's probably a bit of a longer conversation, but a trusted validator can fire up validators without having to bring the stake. So they don't get any of the rewards. They still get a small fee for running the validator, but they don't bring any stake. But they can pick up the slack in the system. So if there's validators that need to be entered or exited quickly, they can.
I didn't even know a validator can run without having a stake. I mean, I know you can run a node.
Yeah, so I'll clarify. It still needs to be staked, but the stake is pulled from the pool as opposed to the validator.
I got it. So that's where they're grabbing the pulse from. They're grabbing there, and then they're putting it. I got it.
So these are a trusted, known entity. Yeah, which is not like, hey, it's not what you want. You'd rather have more distributed and decentralized things, but they serve a purpose there.
Yeah, and especially at the beginning, as we're bootstrapping this thing off the ground, you might need something like this. But after time, we probably won't see that too much of it happening.
And that's why I want other people that are in the community that are playing, like doing those higher level roles. I think the trusted validator is something there where they can add a bit of value to this as well. So you've got a few different trusted validators as well. So you've still got the more decentralized network, but they can come and pick up the slack. Yeah. So over time, that will eventually peel out over time, and that will make more, get a lot broader distribution. But hey, like I said, when we're bootstrapping, is what it is.
You got to do what you got to do. Now, applying to be a solo validator, do you just click there and submit like how do you know that this person is got the equipment? You know, this person is like, somebody that we could trust. I mean,
yeah. So that's why we need solo validators to bring their 12 mil, because that's essentially insurance for everyone else that's bringing their.
Got it. And that's why you're wanting the 12 mil clip out of them. Yeah.
So all the tests I've been doing over the last few days is I've set up misbehaving validators. I've deliberately set them up so that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and making sure that they're getting clipped and everything's going as it should.
Working like it should.
Yeah. So if they're just, like you said, you had bad power and things like that, where you lose some of your what we call attestation. So when you're testing the things, you would get knocked out. When that validator, if he doesn't get his balance built back up to a high enough amount, and he pulls out before his balance is above the 32 mil, then he'll take a clip out of his 12 mil that he brought.
Right.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. So the application process is not that difficult then? You just apply?
It's decentralized, mate. You don't have to do anything. They just come in here and you do a deposit.
Oh, wow.
So the people that have run a validator before, you'd probably be comfortable with how you generated your deposit file and things like that, and your keys.
Yeah, I still have to do that with even using David Futa's server. I have to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you still go through that process. We've got a slightly modified tool that splits it up into two parts. So you generate a deposit file, which you do in this part, and then you've got a second file, which is a stake file, and that actually pushes the stake out into the proper pulse chain contracts.
Yep.
So
exactly.
Generating your keys, it's the same look and feel, but you just end up with two files instead of one for the deposit process. That's sort of, you don't need to ask permission. You just come and go from the system as you like.
I love it.
Yeah. Probably.
This is your data, your statistics.
So this is just this is a an address that's just running two validators here. One that I've been deliberately messing around with and trying to upset things. So yeah.
Break the system, Jexxa, before going to mainnet. That's the idea.
So it's good. It's still a little bit more testing that I want to do and just make sure we're where we need to be. But contracts have been awesome. Haven't had any issues with contracts and things like that. So it's just UI tweaks. Yeah.
This is amazing. When would you anticipate? Don't say 2 more weeks. Please don't say 2 more weeks. But when do you anticipate this going?
Look, if I had, and I'll be brutally honest, if I can get more people involved in the community and testing things and stuff like that, that would be helpful, because that's we can stress test things a little bit more. So if anyone is running a validator and they want to play around on testnet, be great to have you come across and check things out. I've still got, I think that from a user perspective, I don't think we need too much documentation. I think it's pretty basic.
Yep.
From a validator perspective, I've obviously got a little bit of documentation and the like that I want to put together, because I think they need a bit of guidance. But yeah, so a few things like that. And I think we can get it to mainnet pretty quick in its current form, and then we just build extra things on top over time.
On top over time.
Yeah,
because it's so simplistic right now, that's what I love about it, though. So don't overcomplicate it too much by building on top of it, because right now I think it's just fantastic.
The way this is now, both of these apps are proper dApps. So they're not reliant on any back-end infrastructure like databases or anything like that, other than the blockchain data. So then, so you can launch these on IPFS, same way as we've done with PulseX and Hex and all that sort of stuff. So they can actually be bundled up as static files and used. So I want to try and keep them like that. But the risk is you add more features to an app and then you start to have issues, or you keep it pretty pared back and you forgo some features, but then you've got better decentralization where there's anyone can come and run this and
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, are you planning on having maybe an incentive token built in this, or that way there's an extra reward there, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so a lot of the other staking systems run a 2 token system.
Yeah.
And you might, to fire up a validator, you might need to bring Pulse and some of their native token, and then you can fire up a validator. Where this is different. We don't need that per se to run the protocol. So it's pretty thin in terms of what requirements are in that regard. But there is other things in the background that a governance type token would be really suitable for moving forward. Yeah, so there's things we can tweak and change rates and things like that, and you want them to be voted on. You've got to understand that we're dealing with, so with these contracts, they're dealing with things that are moving targets underneath. So, and I'll give you a good example. So we watched ETH go down from having proof of work to proof of work and proof of stake, and then we went into the merge. So the underlying things and mechanisms are changing on ETH as they get to each stage. So we've got to have a bit of flexibility there, where if we need to change something because of the way the underlying network works, we've got to have the ability to do that. So you want to have, so you might need a bit of governance around that. So that's where that will come in. And like I said, this can go out and get launched now as it is, but then we bring in the governance token over time. So there's a plan for that. You've just seen the system generates yield. That's pretty interesting. Who knows where that goes?
All I care about.
Yeah. So, but that plays a bigger role in what you can do with treasuries and things like that as well. So
yeah, it makes it very interesting.
Yes, makes it very, very interesting. So yeah, so that's definitely getting looked at.
Yeah.
And if you want to find out a little bit more about that, you can jump into our Telegram group. And
will there be a sacrifice or?
No, so to be honest, this has been self-funded.
Okay.
So and the staff I team have
Appreciate
been
that.
really good as well. Now there is a way you can support the project if you want. So if you go to our Telegram group, there's some details in there. So there's you can support that by bringing your skills and knowledge as a validator. If
Yeah,
you want
a
to
lot
help
of
out with,
support.
if you want to help out with testing the DApps or documentation or anything like that, and there's an NFT set that we like as well. So if you think you can help out in that way, by all means do.
That's great.
But yeah, I wanted to try and keep it. Obviously, everyone's fatigued with that sort of stuff, so we're trying to.
Very fatigued. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is a good word.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah, but it's not a cheap exercise, so I can tell you that.
No, I mean, none of this building is cheap, and none of it's easy, and none of it. I mean, and we appreciate you, like, spearheading this and putting this on your shoulders, man. This is awesome. I mean, I'm super stoked about it. Paul Sachs wants to know if you talked to Fast Abdul yet and see if we can get something fired up for the V-Pulse yield.
Definitely, yeah. Look, I'm dead keen to get all of those guys involved and get this out in protocols, and it just makes sense. Like, it's another feature that everyone can easily integrate, and so we haven't got single-sided staking really for Pulse X. Haven't really got anything like that for Pulse. This
pretty much is. Yeah, and that's why I love my node validator so much, Jexxa, because like I looked at like a single side stake. I don't have any impermanent loss. I don't have, there's a little risk there, whatever. But I like that because they'll put my money to work for me without the other normal risk that we associate with, like liquidity providing and everything else. And single-sided staking, this is the closest we got to it. This is great. And now you're making it even to the point where almost anybody can come in here and single-side stake their Pulse and earn some yield for doing so, and stay somewhat liquid.
Yeah, and I think all the other builders, I've been speaking to some of those guys, and they can see what this brings to the chain and what they can do with it as well. So yeah, I think there's a lot of great integration opportunities with other people as well.
It's great, man. I'm telling you, it shows that we're growing up slowly. We're starting to mature. All this building, all this creating, all this, and then people on Twitter want to say we're dead and this is a failed project. Bullshit.
Yeah, there's a lot. If you're just on Twitter every day and you're just looking at a barrage of FUD and angry people, you don't understand what's actually going on in the background. There's a lot of really talented people that are bringing their time, energy, money, efforts to the chain, and we get a very shallow focus or a narrow focus in crypto where we're just looking at the next market cycle. Well, we're looking at the next market cycle. Let's face it.
Yeah.
But everyone that's building, they're not building just for the next 12 months and then they're all going to walk away. Like,
no.
People are building because they believe in the chain and they want stuff like this. We build it now. It's going to be there for decades, hopefully, and we can all enjoy the benefit of it.
Right, exactly, man. And we appreciate it. It's the builders. I say this all the time on the show. It's the builders that drag us through the bear market, through these lows, and keep this chain alive. It's the builders that do it. And that's how I know, man, we are, going to be a massive success. Not financial advice. It's just how I speculate with my money, guys. It's what I think. You can go and buy whatever you want, go buy Phantom, go buy AVAX, go buy Bitcoin, go buy stocks and bonds. But we're going to vote with my money here on Pulse Chain.
There's not too often you get a chance to be at the grassroots level of a chain and be really involved in the technical aspects of it and the community building side of it from the get-go.
Oh, it's been a blast.
So it feels crap when the price is getting smashed and stuff like that. But that'll be long forgotten when you get a few wins under your belt. And
green candles make you smarter. That's what Sami always says.
That's it. Yeah. So obviously it's a bit of a roller coaster, but I think the more important thing is we're building out tools that actually are going to make your life better eventually. Like yes, I'm in it for a bit of price growth as well. Let's face it,
You're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, definitely. But I've got a very heavy tech leaning. We've seen Red Squirrel in the background. He knows I wear my tinfoil hat. Like, we need this shit. We've got to build this shit. No, if we're not going to do it, no one's going to do it for us. So.
No, they're not. No, that's a fact. That's an absolute fact, man. And it's funny. I was talking to Frank, and actually he had mentioned it on the show yesterday. Our friend that we know each other through. He was in Matic in their early days, and he said that the Matic community, they were wrecked and they were down for 20 months before they started really catching a bid, and they went to the moon. Like 20 months. What were we at? Like month 13 right now or something like that? Or maybe month 15. I don't know. I have to look. But like he says, it's the exact same thing. It was the exact same thing.
Go look at the Matic chart, man. It was just a dead flat line for a long time.
Right. And what fascinates me is that we actually saw like a heartbeat, if you will, like in the pre-Bitcoin altcoin season when everything was going parabolic. Now, we didn't go as high as Solana. Okay, I get it. But we went higher than AVAX. We went higher than Phantom. And guys, these are other layer one blockchains that we out-competed on that little altcoin season. And, okay, we weren't number one. Don't mean we can't be next time. I don't know. I don't know. We're just speculating here.
You got to realize that was also when we had just launched as well. So we're obviously have the big downward pressure from a launch, trying to battle against everyone going up as well. But if you hadn't have done your launch there and you're just participating in the that upward momentum, probably a different story. Now we've reset the clock a little bit. Yes. Now if we get that run, different story, I think.
I always, say you have to, if you want to experience the mad gains and pulse chain, you have to be dollar cost average in these lows. Like you can no longer, your base price is no longer SAC price. Like you guys we've had plenty of opportunity to come in and buy the lows and gather these bags down here in these deep depressed prices so we can experience the 5, 10, 20, 50, whatever it may be, X's. I have no idea what we're going to do as far as X's, but like if you want the mad gains, you have to buy the most depressed pricing. I tell people all the time when I was buying the SEC dip, I had bought like pretty much the absolute bottom last year. And man, I was throwing in clips of like 10, 20,000. Like I feel like I was throwing my money down the toilet and I wanted to puke. It was like the worst feeling. But that's how you're buying the bottom. And like we had that little altcoin thing, and it felt so good once you start pumping. Like even the littlest pump, like you're like, oh my gosh, we're alive. Or at least we're alive. And but if you're DCAing and you feel sick to your stomach on your DCA, you're buying at the right time. If you feel good about your DCA, you're probably buying a local top. Ask me how I know. Because I've done it. I
think we've all been there.
Yeah, you live and learn through this shit, man. And if it doesn't feel good, like right now, it's we're experiencing a bit of a red day, and we could experience more red coming into rec timber. I don't know, maybe not. Who knows? But if it does,
I think I'm the eternal optimist. I think I look at the chart and it doesn't look that terrible. Like it feels a little bit bad, but it doesn't look that. And I'm not just talking about Pulse, and I'm talking about when I look at the Bitcoin chart, I go, yeah. So we've hit some supports and things like that, but it's still holding structure. It looks good. I think we just
that's good. You got we got the presidential election coming up here in the U.S. And that's going to be
all us guys outside of the U.S. I've never been so glued to what's going on over there as I have this.
It's because what we're doing here, what you're building, Pulse Chain, the whole ecosystem of crypto, it's become political now. It's a political. They brought it in to politics. It's absolutely bananas. Like this is the narrative that's going to facilitate the absolute most parabolic bull run. Is this like it's insane? You got to see the writing on the wall and put the puzzle pieces together. And it's there for me. I see it, man, clear as day. And
so we hope you guys over there do the right thing because we're sitting back.
We're trying.
We can't do bugger all. We're watching. So there's multiple levels. You've got what's going on with the election. SEC chasing crypto. Then you've got censorship of platforms. We've just seen Telegram and X and Meta, and look, we're sitting back here. We can't do shit because we don't have a say in anything.
Right.
So
you can do this.
We're hoping you guys
you are having a say. You are having a say. It's just your own way. It's not, you do this and you buy, right? Like that, you vote with your dollars, you build. Like, what else can you do? But man, I believe that the right thing will happen. I believe if we could keep Trump alive, they're already trying to kill him. Let's see what happens there. I think we could have the absolute most parabolic bull run. And yeah, I think stuff like this is what we need for Pulse Chain to thrive and survive. We thank you so much, man, for building and bringing this stuff to our chain that is much needed. It's you guys. Once I say, I'll say it again. It's you guys that is dragging us through this bloody ass bear market. You're dragging the bull by the horns to the other side until that bull can wake up and start breathing on its own. You guys are what do it, man. And we appreciate it. I mean, the meme coins are cool and they do their own thing too, but like, man, it's the builders that is making this thing thrive.
We need everyone. Everyone plays their parts, whether you're just a user of the systems, whether you're getting on here and running these streams.
Yep.
I'll give a quick shout out to Frank, man. He does a lot in the background in terms of building the community and bringing people together. People probably don't understand what he does as well, but he connects a lot of people and he's a force for good. So there's a whole lot that is going on, bubbling away on the background people don't see. Yeah.
Get off Twitter, get off the MFing on Twitter and the toxicity. There's a lot of good stuff going on in this chain. There's a lot of good people in this chain, man. I had never met such an amazing community. I tell people, like, when I got into real estate's how I became an entrepreneur. It's where I made my bulk of my wealth. Like, I met people all over the United States. It made me friends in a community across the United States. But when I got into crypto, now I've got friends across the world. Like, I've got close friends across the world. I'm going to Panama in January, stuff like that. Like, you're on the opposite side of the world. I think a 12-hour difference. Is it?
Yeah, we're about as far away as you can get, I think.
Yeah, you're about as far away we get, man. And we thank you for making the time out of your night out of your sleeping schedule to come on and show all these guys over here on this side of the world what you got going on, man. So it's really,
happy to do it, man. Yeah,
so,
thanks for having me on.
So cool, man. Are you done with the presentation? This is pretty much it then.
Yeah, man. I don't, unless anyone's got any questions, or I'm happy to hang around if there's.
You got a Telegram. Let's drop that. And you want people in the Telegram?
Yeah, put that in the chat if you can. Yeah. Get in there and check that out. There's a group of growing people in there, and I'm always doing little updates.
Type it in the. I can't copy and paste off the screen. Can you type in the private? There you go.
I'll put that in private chat because I don't think I'll be able to.
And I'll just paste it. Guys, go and join. Ask questions. If you're interested in becoming a validator, go in there and ask and find out how to do it. Help support the system. I think this is probably one of my favorite protocols on Pulse Chain. I've always loved node validating. Like I said, for me, it's very limited risk where I get to hold my pulse, make passive income. I'm not really in a time lock, and this makes you even more liquid than you've ever been before. This is an absolutely amazing protocol.
This is what they call real yield.
Real yield, yeah. Jexxa, I love Hex, but I'm not like and then my guys know here that watch the show, I'm not like the biggest component of like 5-5-5-5. In fact, I don't really do much of that. I will stake my Hex on a monthly, or maybe what I call market cycle stakes, where about a year ago, I set up every 6 months for the next, year and a half or so. I have these rather good sized stakes coming out in Hex that I can use, when it comes time to sell in 2025. But that's why node validating has always resonated with me, is because I add value to the chain. I'm adding real value that the chain needs from my pulse, my computer, my servers. You're adding the value, and then I'm paid for that value, just like in the real world. I love this. And I can, pretty much exit the system when I'm ready, or I can let it go. I can let some of those go for forever.
The beauty about the validating is you get paid every 5 minutes. Like
it's great. I've used some of that yield to degen. I haven't done it lately. But like you can literally, like, you feel like a little bit.
I'm sure we've all done that, mate.
Yeah, you feel a little less guilty because it's not your principal. You're like, well, it's just a yield. I can go and buy these stupid coins. I've done it, and I'm like, oh, well, it's now stupid coin. I should have just compounded my validators, because now that coin's down 95%. But it's fun, man. It's fun. I love it. And so, man, thank you so much. We do appreciate it again. She'll like help. So we got the Telegram in there. How about Twitter? Where can people find you on?
Yeah, I did have. You don't have sort of names up on the screen, but yeah, mine's J_Jexxa. Can I paste it in?
Paste it in private. I'll post it in the chat. You don't have a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah. If you just Google Jexxa on YouTube, I'll probably be. It would be good to.
Not that you need a lot of like tutorial videos for this.
Yeah, they've got a couple of. Yeah, so basically what I've shown tonight, I've pretty much got a couple of videos there. They're in the Telegram as well. So if you don't want to go searching too much, just go to the Telegram group and you can find all the links in there. Yeah.
Guys, here's his Twitter. If you want to follow him on Twitter, it's his handle. Follow him, support him, go on the Telegram, support him in there. If you guys are no validating, you know what to do. Hello, when mainnet's the last question I see. We're not quite sure. Maybe 2 more weeks.
2 more weeks. Yeah, look, I'm pushing really hard. You've got to find the balance between pushing really hard and going too fast before you're ready. But like I said, I'm really happy with all the contract side of things. So it's me just making sure I've got the UIs at a level where I think we can get out into the market and not have too many issues.
Yeah, we want it ready, guys. We want this thing to operate the way it's supposed to operate, so we can go in there and start playing with it on day one and making some yield. So
So if you're into the validating stuff, definitely reach out to me. If you're a builder in the community, love to hear from you.
Talk to David for me, or I can also shoot him a message too. It'd be interesting to see if you guys would end up, if he would end up doing some of this stuff. And then
we've had a little bit of back and forth on Twitter, but
I'll love David.
No. I mean, David known each other for a long time, so
such a nice individual, man. Humble dude. So
we'll get all that rolling. That's for sure.
Cool, man. Well, let's wind it down. Let you get some sleep. We appreciate it. You're coming out.
It'll be time to get up in a minute.
Yeah, but I wanted you on, man. I'm passionate about the node validated stuff. Like, this is exciting. And so, like I said, I'll be using the protocol, guys. You guys got all the info. We'll be seeing you here coming soon. And guys, if you're watching on Twitter, I see there's 51. No, it's actually more. Like with Dane's, it's like almost 90 of you guys. 90 of you guys, come over to YouTube, hit the like, smash that bell notification. Help us bring the good word of crypto, the good word of real estate, the good word of entrepreneurship through this market cycle to you guys. You know, bringing the builders, some people like Jexxa on the show, people like Fast Abdul. I see him in here. He's probably talking crap. I demand launching immediately at the cost of future security. I knew he was going to talk crap. I don't even know why I showed his comment. He is only here for the tech. Apparently, that means you're getting a 2 fucks pull, Jexxa. That's the way I interpret that.
That's what I think. That's what I got from that as well.
That's how I got out of that. So I can put my V fucks in the pool and get it working, because I know I'm going to be doing it. So, man, we appreciate you again, Jexxa. And guys, anything else? Any last parting words? Last chance?
No, thanks for having me on, and thanks everyone in chat for participating. And we'll see you on the track.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Peace.